below.
Good morning, afternoon, or evening. I'm Jeffrey Jennings, and this is Foxhole Flash, brought to you by the PressCorps, updating you on the events of the ongoing Foxhole War. Here in the 19th conflict of the Foxhole War, it's day 375. Our top story, a new age of superweapons, with reporting from Seamus O'Malley of the Warden Press. Colonial forces continue their miraculous Christmas resurgence after taking approximately 85% of the central regions, including the entirety of the Deadlands. Colonial forces have even begun to push into Callahan's Passage. Such a turnaround of events would normally be our leading story, but we are not in a state of normalcy, and strategic positioning is the last thing on everyone's minds. On day 340, 0930 hours SIVA Standard Time, the first ever superweapon class ballistic rocket was launched by Colonials in Westgate and hit the Warden town of Spade, Morin County, completely annihilating the town and permanently knocking its resources out of the conflict. It was reported by RGB Man 195 of the colonial-based newspaper Legionary Weekly that the rocket was launched by the Swords of Morrow outfit. Meanwhile, colonial troops had conducted an amphibious landing at the coastal fort nearest Spade, allowing a spotter to transmit coordinates to the targeting computers, who launched the rocket after a tense 10-minute transmit period. During that time, air raid sirens began to blare and Warden logistic units in the town hurriedly began evacuating as many supplies as they could. Reports from within the town paint a picture of over a dozen Warden trucks dashing into and out of the town. The blast radius was so large, the most forward colonial units discovered they were too close and were killed, but the remaining troops managed to capture the remains of the town. A small Warden reaction force was hastily assembled and met the collies in the outskirts of the town. As of now, the Colonials have been ejected from Morin County. Actually, that's outdated now, but they are in Morin County. But the rocket has left a deep scar in the Sevish region. Once news of the impact had circulated, Senators Delorbis and Chibas held a press conference outside the council chambers before the meeting was cut short by a lone gunman's pistol. During the conference, however, Senator Chibas revealed that the rocket was carrying 3 tons of explosives, enough to permanently shatter building foundations, but at the same time leaves behind no poisonous residue such as green ash or radiation, doing justice to the term ballistic rocket. I repeat, the rocket does not contain a nuclear, chemical, nor biological warhead. It is a ballistic rocket. On day 347, 1855 hours SIVA Standard Time, the second ever ballistic rocket was launched, this time by the Wardens. That rocket appeared to be of a very similar design and explosive yield to the colonial one. However, that's where all similarities to the first rocket attack end, and major controversy begins. This time, the rocket was launched from the rocket site at the Scarp of Ambrose, Serenity Coast, west of what was then the Warden town of Terra. The target was Jade Cove, also in Serenity Coast, just about 500 meters away. An odd choice, but one that makes a little sense considering the fuel status of the rocket was only halfway filled. This means it did not have the capability of reaching targets outside of Serenity Coast. This picture was taken 5 minutes before the rocket left the launch pad. The rocket was launched by the WNS outfit, or Warden North Star outfit. The WNS was logistically aided by the WGA, Warden Guardian Angels outfit. Both groups were immediately criticized by the Warden faction as a whole for choosing Jade Cove as the target instead of Victa or Machas Keening, both of which were the only other colonial-held towns at the time. These criticisms include accusations of bad judgment, recklessness, friendly fire, and even treason. Many of the accusations currently circulating are made in jest, but make no mistake, there is a solid layer of blame undercutting it all. The WGA claimed they did not know the WNS were going to fire the rocket at Jade Cove. Regardless, the resulting confusion and blame game has even resulted in reports of blue-on-blue firefights among certain Warden groups. WGA leader Serenity sat down with Warden press reporter Seamus O'Malley to share their side of the story.
Alright, this is Seamus O'Malley from the Warden Press. I'm here with Serenity from WGA. I'm here to talk about the incident at Jade Cove from Warden Northstar. So starting off, what do you think this incident has done for the fighting in Faranac? Has it helped in any way, or has it worsened the state of the front?
I honestly had mixed feelings at first, but now that the front in Faranac Coast has been pretty much pushed back to its borders, I'd honestly say that we've wasted the nuke.
Alright.
And on a second note, before we continue, we only did the logistics for the nuke. We had no idea where the intention of launching it would be.
Alright. Well then, do you agree with their actions in any way, or how do you feel about what's been done?
We want to still be allies, but we don't want to start a civil war. We want all the Warden clans to work together, despite the questionable actions of one.
Alright. What do you think this incident will do to Warden Northstar's reputation?
I'd say for at least this war, if not the next war and maybe the war after that, the reputation will be tarnished for a good while.
Alright.
But we have faith in them that they can make their name good again, like they once were.
Do you think any Warden clans other than WGA would be willing to work with them?
Knowing the questionable leadership of some of the big name old clans, we are unsure at the moment, especially with WN making all this propaganda against them for personal hatred instead of actual logic. We have no doubt that, at least on this war, they will be a kill-on-sight clan.
I've been in contact with Warden Navy, and they have confirmed with me that they are starting a kill on site. They haven't said that it'll be for WGA, but definitely for Warden Northstar.
We've had word that they have confirmed that they are kill on site for us as well, based on posts and memes, amongst other things.
I'll have to check with him on that, but I'll definitely check that out. What do you think this incident will have on the reputation of the Wardens in general?
We will, for the rest of this war, be known as the people who could not get along with the infighting that they have. Most of the new players might gravitate to Colonials, and honestly, some of the smaller clans might start gravitating towards them as well, just to clear their affiliation with people who like them. Them being the big clans that couldn't get along.
Alright. Did you have any knowledge of the reports of friendly forces attacking the missile silo, trying to stop the launch?
Yes, they haven't kicked me out of the Warden Navy yet, the Discord for them yet, but I have been watching their public channels, and they have been confirmed to try and stop the missile launch with several battle tanks, if not just one.
Do you agree with those actions?
Honestly, I'm still trying to figure everything out from yesterday because, other stuff that the War Navy has been doing to me personally as a person instead of my clan. But as for agreeing or not, I can't wholeheartedly, but I can say I somewhat agree.
Alright.
Even if it was a waste of our time and a waste of the Warden North Star's time as people to do this, I think that it would have been necessary in the long run.
Alright. Is there a site that you think would have been a better target to attack than Jade Cove?
Their advanced munitions factory in, I believe it's in Wildwood. I can't remember the name of the town off the top of my head.
I know one of them is Hermit's Rest.
That's the one I'm thinking of, yes.
I've had a couple of people say that that was where they were hoping it would fire. Alright, is there anything that you would like to add on behalf of WGA?
Well, we've tried clearing our names, and this incident has only made it worse from the WN, and now that we have to clear from the entire Wardens. I'm personally switching to Colonials for the sake of my own mental health, because I've been dealing with non-stop personal attacks from WN and some other people from the Wardens. It's a regretful decision because I've been with Wardens my entire life, but I want to be able to play the game without having to deal with KOS, abuse. I'm sorry. If I get emotional during this, it's
perfectly fine if you want to take a break at any point.
No, I'm pretty much almost done. I just need to get this out there. It's just, I want to say a personal message to the leadership of WN. This is what you've done. You've hurt someone to the point where they couldn't almost play over a game. But for the sake of my own mental health and some other friends of mine, we're going to be switching so that we can start again.
The entirety of WGA is going to be switching?
Just some personal friends of mine, and anyone else who would like to follow.
Is WGA going to continue, or is it being disbanded?
I would like to say it's going to not continue, but not disband. We're just going to be faction switching as of this war, and possibly just changing it to CGA, Colonial, WGA, basically.
Apologies.
It's not the best case scenario. It's obvious. It's completely the worst case scenario.
Is most of WGA going to be switching, or just a small portion of it?
It's probably just going to be no more than like 5 people. If there's any more, I will confirm the number at a later date. But as of right now, I know that at least 2 people are going to be switching with me.
Alright. Well, if that's all you have, it's been great having you.
Thank you for this opportunity.
Alright. Well, thank you for joining me. And good luck with CGA's new development.
Thank you. And again, thank you for the opportunity and being understanding of it.
That was Warden Guardian Angels leader, WGA leader, Serenity, talking to Warden Press reporter Seamus O'Malley, painting a picture of blue-on-blue firefights, forcing the outfit to permanently change sides. Please note that interview was edited for time. Perhaps the biggest accusation was the dreaded kill-on-sight order. It's a lofty accusation. I sat down with Warden Navy Admiral VonKlaus to gather his side of the story. For the PressCorps, I'm Jeffrey Jennings, and I'm here with Warden Navy Admiral VonKlaus. Is that correct?
That is correct, and I just want to say thank you. I'm a real big fan, and I'm honored to be here.
Well, thank you so much. I duly appreciate it. And then, to all of our followers, anyone who gives us a moment of their time, including you, thank you so much. Well, let's get right into it. Let's get some context here. What actions did the Warden Navy participate in during the colonial attack on Central Feranic and the buildup of the rocket launch? Essentially, what was the context surrounding this incident?
Well, we were pretty light on manpower that day, but we did have a battle tank on the map, so we weren't totally inactive. We also had a gunboat, which had shelled the town down prior to it being nuked. That's why it was white.
And when you say we, when you say we, you mean the Warden Navy or just the Wardens as a whole?
I mean we, as the Wardens as a whole.
Right. Okay.
Or I might also mean the Warden Navy, just depending on the context.
It's mixed, right? A lot of working together in tandem, ad hoc. I understand.
Yes, we work together closely with a lot of other plans.
But yes, in terms of the battlefield situation, can you expand more on that? Where was the colonial line about, let's say, an hour before launch?
An hour before launch, they were approaching the town and in the town.
Of Jade Cove.
At one point, they did have control of the town hall, at which point we did take it out with a gunboat. That's why it was white when the nuke hit. It was not Warden prior to the nuke hitting it. Mm-hmm. It was white after the Colonials took it, and we already destroyed their town hall.
Right, and for context, by nuke you mean the ballistic missile, right? Or the rocket, or what have you, right? And at any point did the Colonials, at any point across in Feranic, did they cross the River Mercy? Not just in Jade Cove, but across the other bridges to the east?
No, they hadn't even tried to push there. They were only pushing at Jade Cove at the time.
And at any point prior to launch, how close did the Colonials get to the rocket site?
That I could not tell you exactly how close they got to it. But I know that Mint was there, and he's a very honest clan member we have, and you can see in the video, they're not close enough that people are fighting back inside the view of the rocket. If there's any fighting going on, it's 200, 300 meters away, and there was no active invasion of the beach there. It's just the fear of invasion and the fear of being pushed.
Okay, and did the Warden Navy at any point know the rocket's target prior to the launch?
Yes, we did. Cerberus actually told me, and at which point I told him
Cerberus is a member of the Warden Navy?
No, he is not. He is a member of the Warden North Star. He is the leader of the Warden North Star. He is the one who chose the target, and he's the one who was in the main instrument in creating the weapon and building it.
Okay, so you did not know, or the Warden Navy did not know, the rocket's target prior to launch?
No, we did know. Cerberus told us. I was in communication with him. I asked him, he said his rocket was ready, and I told him what it was. I asked him what his target was, and that's when he told me Jade Cove. At which point I told him that was a horrible idea, that it was a town that the Warden Navy could defend because the town hall is within gunboat range, and there's several choke points where we can use our gunboats to help defend the town. Now, maybe that day we were not as active as we had been. But over the course of the war, Jade Cove had one time, very early in the war, and only for a few hours. For the entire remainder of the war, until today, the Wardens had control of the town.
Okay, and at one point, do you know how long prior to launch did you know that the rocket was targeted at Feranic? Or sorry, at Jade?
Probably about an hour and a half.
An hour. You had a full hour and a half that they.
Yes, and I was begging him and pleading with him and giving him other options.
For an hour and a half.
I did get coordinates on Victa, and I transmitted them not only personally to him, but in the all world chat and in the region chat. We had people spamming it to him, so he knew he could have put the coordinates into Victa. It was an option.
So you had spent, you personally or someone from the Warden Navy?
Someone from the Warden Navy.
Right, had spent the 10 minutes needed to stand still lock the target in, and transmit the coordinates to the rocket site.
That is correct.
Can you name this spotter?
Yes, his name is Styles.
Styles, part of the Warden Navy.
Warden Navy Styles, yes. He did a great job doing it.
Mm-hmm. So then, when the Warden Navy realized what was going to happen, when you realized that Jade Cove was the intended target, what did the Warden Navy do?
Let me give you a little more backstory. So after I discussed with him maybe for the first 20 minutes why it was a bad idea to nuke the town, he told me, he agreed with me, and he said he was not going to nuke the town. About 10 minutes later, I was contacted by Warden Navy Mint, WN Mint, and he let me know that he was in fact planning to target Jade Cove because they were pulling out all the supplies from the town. At which point I re-messaged him and let him know that I didn't appreciate him first lying, but also still trying to attack a target we were actively defending. Basically giving up on the guys on the ground because his guys didn't think they could hold the town, meaning themselves, not necessarily any other wardens. So they felt that since they couldn't hold it, that no one could hold it, and that they had to destroy it or we'd waste the nuke. Who knows what their actual motives were.
Okay, now, both the WGA and the WNS outfits claim the Warden Navy attempted to disrupt the rocket's launch by force.
Yes,
can you confirm
Warden Navy Mint actually fired upon the rocket 5 times with a battle tank. Unfortunately, it caused 0 damage. They were staring down his battle tank with a battle tank of their own, ready to fire on him.
Well, okay, so who fired first shot from your point of view?
Mint fired the first shot on the rocket.
So a member of the Warden Navy
Mint on him. If he would have did damage to the rocket, I guarantee they would have fired on him. But he did 0 damage. You can't team hurt the rocket.
All right. So just to clarify, a member of the Warden Navy did fire upon the rocket with the intent to do damage and stop the rocket by force.
Correct. If there was anything we could have did to stop the launch, we would have.
Okay. So after the incident had happened, the launch had happened, the impact had happened, and all sorts of chaos ensued within, not just in the blast site, of course, but in the whole Warden apparatus itself. Did the Warden Navy issue any type of order, or maybe even devolved into some sort of violence after the fact, after the rocket had already been in play? Does that question make sense?
There was no actions by the Warden Navy taken upon any members of WNS or WGA after the rocket was launched. We got upon our lives and we kept fighting the war. If there was any talk of killing them in game, it was just talk. It is frustration over the fact that we lost a town that we controlled, that we stockpiled, that we fought over, that we knew we could defend. When we lost that, then of course there's going to be emotions that come out.
Okay, but so whatever type of friendly fire incidents may have occurred after the fact of the launch, there was no Warden Navy kill on sight order directed at anyone.
There is no active kill on sight order.
At any point?
No.
Right,
now,
okay.
I will say personally, if I see any of them, I will kill them. But I will not give my men the order to kill someone in-game and violate team rules, no.
So if you run into a member of WNS or formerly the WGA, you will personally fire upon them on site?
No. Let me clarify.
Okay.
The leaders, not WGA, just Cerberus, UEemperor, and Twitchy Moo, the leaders of the Warden North Star, who manipulated really their younger members and the members of WGA who had no idea what was going on. They didn't know the implications of what they were doing. They didn't know they were going to ostracize themselves to the entire faction that they had committed to and had pride in.
Okay, so then again, just to clarify, if you see any of those individuals you just named, you will fire upon them?
Yes.
Okay,
yes,
now,
I will.
Now, including you, have said that maybe this decision was made out of inexperience, naivete, or possibly even willful ignorance.
I wouldn't say it was those. I wouldn't say it was. It wasn't naivety or anything like that. They wanted to use a rocket, so they built it maybe before they were even ready, before they were even had enough defenses around. So once they felt a little bit of pressure, they reacted, with haste. And they also didn't have plans to stay up 24 hours. Their clan was not going to stay up 24 hours. They were only going to stay up 12 hours. They wanted to see the launch. They weren't going to pass it to another clan. They're going to say, well, no other clan offered it, but they didn't offer it to another clan. They didn't reach out to us and say, listen, there's no way we can hold it for 12 more hours. We need all your guys here. They never said that at all to me directly. They asked me for supplies here and there, which I could not give them at the time because we were fighting a war, and I could not give them supplies to build a rocket site that we weren't going to use or did not have a viable target at the time.
So a level of stubbornness there.
Partially, yes.
Okay.
Maybe notoriety also. Maybe angst against his teammates not agreeing with him. Yeah.
Yeah, not to insert words here.
One day syndrome, feeling like the war is fought in one day, not over multiple weeks.
All right. So then, wouldn't a combination of these things be, to some extent, forgivable or even understandable? They may not require a shoot on sight from you or whomever, or maybe even the amount of backlash and criticism.
I mean, it definitely can seem that way. But when someone lies to you, especially somebody that you've been teammates with and worked with and consider a friend, it's immediately hurtful to be that level of betrayal. Because there's one thing, the game aspects of it, but then it goes beyond that because you talk to these people and work with these people on an everyday basis. So when they lie and misuse your trust, when you're giving them good reasons, when every single warden is telling him not to do it, and he still does it. I mean, maybe you think I'm overreacting, and I'm not saying I would, if I saw them in game, I would maliciously kill them until the point where I couldn't kill them anymore, and maybe after tomorrow I wouldn't feel this way.
All right,
but
so maybe just now, of the moment, okay.
Yeah, definitely of the moment, 100%, yeah.
All right. Any other parting comments here for us? Either to members of those outfits, the Wardens, maybe the Colonials, or what have you.
Yeah, I would just like to say that, I don't want this to be a misunderstanding, like that we're like a goon squad, that we're trying to come after them. We tried to reasonably discuss this, and I could even share my discussion with the world that I had with Cerberus, but I'm not going to do that. And I've had people message me and ask me what I said to him because they saw that he was getting messages from me in the video that he posted. And I just want to let it be clear that I rationally gave him at least 10 reasons why not to nuke Jade Cove before I lost my cool and told Mint or any of my guys to stop them at all costs. And I would do everything the same way. 100%. And next war, I'm going to make sure that, he's not at a nuclear site and he doesn't have this ability. But the Warden Navy is not going to quit, and we're going to keep fighting on. And I want to tell all the Wardens not to give up just because they're spawn killed by no ranks right when the nuke's going to get hit. Not because they're border camped, mysteriously. Not because, mods or devs are abusing any abilities. To overcome it and keep fighting. Because we have better teamwork, and if we keep working together, we will come back and bounce back.
Okay, thank you. Warden Navy Admiral VonKlaus, thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it. That was Warden Navy Admiral VonKlaus with his take on the Jade Cove missile crisis. As you heard during that interview, VonKlaus claimed he did not issue any kill-on-site orders against the WGA or WNS. However, another Warden Navy Admiral, Mint, did admit there was, in fact, a kill-on-site order against WNS in a message conversation with ValleySword. Additionally, members of the WNS did report there were prolonged attacks on their members. However, we cannot verify who instigated these incidents, individual incidents. Clearly, there was a failure to communicate, and in these situations it can be difficult to decipher what was said when. What we can confirm was that Jade Cove Town Hall was already destroyed at the time of the rocket's impact, and, thanks to film evidence, was destroyed at least 17 minutes before impact. Because it takes 10 minutes for the target to be set while coordinates transmit, that means the spotter also knew the town hall was destroyed prior to locking the target in. Additionally, the film evidence also confirms that as early as 17 minutes before the rocket left the launch pad, colonial forces had already captured most, if not all, of the peninsula that comprises of Jade Cove, with a colonial safe house built on the south end of the town, as well as a dozen colonial infantry already fighting on both bridges on the north end of town that led to Apollo's Landing, where Warden forces had retreated to. As such, we can safely rule out any scene that WNS deliberately fired upon a mass of friendly forces with the ballistic rocket. That simply did not happen. Possibly unfriendly firefights? Yes. But not premeditated fratricide? Even if the blue on blue can become water under the bridge, we are still left with the question: was destroying Jade Cove a good idea for the Wardens? In an exclusive interview with Warden press reporter Seamus O'Malley, Warden North Star co-leader and founder UEemperor, the man in the middle of all of this, explained his side of the story, which we will play for you now. Disclaimer: the raw interview was 50 minutes long, 50 minutes long, and as a result, we have had to cut it down. We have done our best to keep the spirit of each answer as much as we can.
I am here with Warden North Star UEemperor. We are doing an interview on the incident with the bombing of Jade Cove. Just to start, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello everybody. Happy holidays. I am UEemperor of the Warden Northern Star, and hello.
Alright, so let's just get straight into this. How long had you planned this operation out for?
The conception of the idea, of course, came in with the release of the rockets and the new update. The planning of the rocket took several days to gather both the equipment, the technology, the equipment, and the necessary materials to build the rocket, but also to take the supplies to secure, fortify, and, well, generally make up the area that we're going to be based on, as in the launch site.
Alright, and did you decide this entirely within your own clan, or was this a joint operation of some sort?
The building, basically the preparation, the organization, the building, and the launching of the rocket were made by the WNS. But because this is a monumental task, we gathered the support of multiple clans as well as singular individuals.
Would you be able to name any of the clans that were able to help you out here?
Essentially, when it comes to the preparation and the general organization before we even got to Fahrenheit Coast, we were basically alone. When we started moving into, or actually organizing to get into, or planning to get into Fahrenheit Coast to set up the launch site, we were discussing with members of the Warden Navy clan. We discussed and received help once we moved in from the WGA, or the Warden Guardian Angels clan. And essentially, wherever we could, enlisting the help of randoms to both prepare, scrap, refine and mine materials, as well as to bring the said materials to the launch site. And let's just say, the FOB around the staging area.
Alright, and why choose Jade Cove? What led to you guys deciding that that should be the site to use the missile on?
Well, this is a tough thing. I'm guessing it's the meat of the subject, of course, but it is a very, very difficult thing to understand because of the intermediate events. Let's just say that, actually, before I say this, I want to say that choosing Jade Cove was not an easy decision, by any stretch of the imagination. We were never going to bomb an area that had friendly units inside or anything else at all, basically. Before I start explaining how it happened, what the events that led to the actual launch, first of all, I'd like to clarify and to clear up the misconceptions that surfaced. There was, at the time of impact, no friendly units in the area. No friendly units, no supplies, nothing that was Warden made except the buildings and everything else that were empty.
I do have a question there. Was it Lek the Tech that fired the missile?
I actually saw the picture you posted in the press Discord, and this was actually, honestly, this is sad to say, but this was a member of our team not being the WNS or any of that, helped us build and launch the rocket. This was a member of the Warden team, along with others, that came to our position at the launch site and tried to grief, let's just say stop, sabotage, whatever you want to use, by destroying friendly assets, including the only battle tank we had, we personally owned, the WNS owned, to secure the area, to help us secure the area, as well as friendly battle tanks, two specifically, that came in to help us protect the region. They literally, and I would like you to post the picture if you had it, to see the volume of damage he caused. He literally destroyed, I'm not going to say hours of work, I'm going to say equipment that after the launch, whether you agree with it or not, could have been used to actually take over the whole of Fahrenheit, the whole of the southern area of Fahrenheit, or at the very least, defend the area we held, which is all the way north from Apollo's Landing to Terra and Luxta, for at least a few more hours, if not a day.
So you're saying that Lek the Tech, who was spotted killing friendlies at the time of the detonation, that was killing people who were at the launch site?
Again, and you're correct in this, but just to clarify, there were no friendly units or assets in the launch in the impact zone. None at all. End of story. The enemy contact, or rather the contacts that were hit at Jade Cove were Colonials, specifically a spearhead platoon of the Colonials, and there were indeed about 30 men, a platoon's worth, aided by a enemy light tank, and I believe, which I'm not sure on this one, a captured Warden battle tank. And that's all they were. That was there. The people that died, like the loss of Warden life, was exclusively at the launch site, at the hands of people who did not agree with the decision, whether you think that is wrong or not, right? And killed friendly people that were there, whether to help us or just because they wanted to discuss argue about the launch, or they were there, well, just to be there, just to help.
Again, we have had to cut up this interview all sorts of ways and a lot of point of view presentation being here, riling up certainly a lot of differing points of view, contradictory points of view. Again, just to clarify, according to UEemperor of the Warden North Star WNS outfit, he claims that he did not fire the rocket into a Warden-controlled area, specifically, of course, Jade Cove. It was, according to him, a colonial-held town in all but Town Hall. The Town Hall had been destroyed by the Warden Navy from offshore shelling. Additionally, the only fatalities, friendly fire fatalities that happened on the Warden side during the incident had happened at the rocket site, again, according to UEemperor. And film footage corroborates this claim that wardens, at least any major warden movements, any known warden attacking, or any major warden groups had been in Jade Cove at the time of the launch. We're not going to continue with more of the interview. If you're just joining us, this is Warden North Star co-leader and founder UEemperor describing his point of view on the decision to launch the rocket at Jade Cove.
Back to the discussion at hand, there were people who were arguing that we should have targeted places like Hermit's Rest and other such sites that have a munitions factory. Why did WNS decide against targeting one of those sites?
This is where I'm going to go a little bit off track, because I will try to explain, if that is okay with the press, to explain what happened, or the thought process that led to Jade Cove becoming the target, the eventual target. First off, let's just say that our original objective, our original launch target was Westgate, specifically an area in Westgate where the logistical, the damage the missile will deal to the logistical efforts of the colonials would absolutely cripple their long-term war effort on the Western Front. Essentially, our target was go build the rocket, first of all secure the area, of course, build up the rocket, be supported by friendly elements, friendly clans and randoms, and of course whoever else was there and willing to help, and achieve a intra-region launch, that is a world launch, onto Westgate, onto a specific target in Westgate that would lead to a collapse in the colonial war effort, or more specifically the logistical part, which would lead to the collapse of the war effort in general. So when we started planning the operation, before we even we had a logistical center at the cut, and that is where we managed our operations before we moved to Faranac, which let's assume Faranac was the operational area. Before we planned, we even got to building the rocket and or the missile and the subsequent supplies needed and assets. We discussed with members of or leadership of the Warden Navy, specifically VonKlaus, and other people from various clans, such as some members of 3SB loosely, and we decided that by the Warden Navy supplying us with naval support, keeping the seas clear, by helping a few other groups, specifically randoms, defending Faranac coast to hold the ground and actually fortify the position in order for us to let's just say grow the missile, the defenses and everything, and prep it for an intra-region launch. Essentially, we've created an operation or a plan that would have been dependent on cooperation between various groups and also individuals from the Warden team, and we would then be able to launch, as I said before, at Westgate. After a lengthy preparation period, we've moved with supplies and assets, specifically 1 battle tank, 3 light tanks, 3 half-tracks, as in we had a significant garrison. We went to the missile silo, the launch site of Fahrenheit Coast. We set up in the region. We started fortifying the area because we expected the incoming enemies, or at least scouts, which they did come. And that was about, by the way, just to clarify, this is about a real life days worth of events. So essentially, before the missile was even fueled and ready to launch, right, there was a lot of colonial pressure in the region. We ended up almost outright losing the launch site due to the enemy presence. It was absolutely overwhelming. Not because they were numerically strong or big in size, but they did not stay in the Jade Cove or the southern, bridge area. They crossed the bridge. They took down areas south, southeast, and east of Terra, and even went as far as to go north of Sickle Hill, which is the launch site, let's just say, and take down and secure the only bridge that connected us with Mooring County. This effectively starved us of resources, or at least meant that we will be starving of resources. We were at because our garrison was just so small numerically when it comes to manpower, our actual WNS troops and the friendlies that covered us. We were desperate for relief in the form of supplies or manpower to protect the general region. Not our garrison. Our garrison was fine because it was we had some time to fortify it. But to protect the general region, we simply were not enough, as in our manpower was not enough. So the only assistance we received, by the way, all the while requesting help from the World Chat, our allies, the people that were in the region and were, able to help, of course. The only assistance we were given was in the form of 2 battle tanks, manned by mixed members comprised of randoms, a few members, 1 or 2 members of CAW, or CAW, I'm sorry about the name, and FFL clans, as well as more randoms that did not even know what was going on, and of course infantry to support said tanks.
Just realized we forgot to switch the card there, but that's okay. Again, if you're just joining us, that was WNS Warden North Star co-leader UEemperor explaining his decision to launch the ballistic rocket at Jade Cove, specifically citing encroaching colonial troops towards the rocket site, according to him, as far north as Sickle Hill. That's a quote from him. Now, the Warden Navy, in an earlier interview that we aired, the Warden Navy, VonKlaus, contradicts this, claiming the colonials never crossed the River Mercy. So we'll have to, until we can find some sort of visual evidence explaining that with a specific date, we unfortunately do not know this. But it seems a decision made under pressure or risk losing the rocket. We're going to continue now with more of UEemperor here on Foxhole Flash.
Now, we met by organizing that group together with basically 3 battle tanks, 1 light tank, 1 half-track, and about a platoon of infantry, made of randoms, WNS members, and other people. We managed to defend and secure the whole middle part of Fahrenheit. That means Terra, Huskhollow, Whispering, I forget the name, the southeastern bridge from Terra, Luxta, Mara, and essentially we pretty much defended the whole area. We were able to push them back and actually secure at least our supply lines. But this took a significant toll of supplies, especially for the battle tanks. Supplies not able to be remunerated due to the aforementioned supply cutoff from Spade, as well as the multiple enemies both propping our defenses and also trying to, use partisan tactics to cut us off. Now, fast forward, we're now in, after the events that I just explained, where we pushed back the enemy, we were able to get in, capture, secure, and move forward from Jade Cove. And we entered the position to the south, or actually, we are at a position to the southeast of Jade Cove, which is a natural choke point due to the mountains or the rock formations to the north and south. So that leaves, let's just say a Thermopylae kind of narrow path, which did not allow us to continue easily. Due to that position, our battle tanks were not able to push in effectively, and we were losing supplies, burning supplies, more than we were taking ground. That was not efficient at all. The reason we wished to do, we came to the decision to bomb Jade Cove was essentially because Jade Cove is of course, it's a great staging ground, especially for the Warden Navy, who has it as who has made it their home base. But it is not strategically sound for the Wardens. Specifically, the area has. One second. The area has first of all, if you look at Apollo's Landing from Jade Cove, you have an incredible height advantage, or the Collies have an incredible height advantage over Apollo's Landing, being able to shoot and hinder any and all attempts to retake Jade Cove. Jade Cove has, the southern part of Jade Cove is also favorable to Colonials because it has two beaches, which they will use to ferry stuff in and out. They have a safe house to the south, which combined with the upgrade of the bomb shelter, which can withstand artillery shots, prevents it from having the southern part, the southern beach, being undefended. Also, they have the southeast, which is the natural point that I mentioned earlier, which further reinforces their defensive capability should they lose, which they did, Jade Cove. So all in all, this in comparison to Matcha, Victor, and the other areas, it is extremely appealing for a rocket strike. Now, there comes the question of why did you not wait to fire at an intra-region launch? Because, as I said before, we were running out of supplies. There was no help from the Warden Navy in the form of their gunboats and other naval equipment. There was no equipment being transported or any aid in manpower or assets being brought to us. And we were basically, for all intents and purposes, dying. Even the stockpile that we've made at the launch site, which was our, for the WNS, the main FOB, or Forward Operating Base, our equipment that was at least 8 to 15 to 12 trucks worth was gone. We were dying. We did not have equipment to fight with. Now, fearing a repeat of the previous Collie advance, which would honestly cripple us if they did something like before, the inability to defend without said aid or supplies for another 12 hours, which would be the amount of time needed to refuel the rocket, and, as you understand, the risk of having the missile sabotaged, or worse, that is way worse, being captured by the Colonials and used against us, oh my god. A tough decision was made to, in a scorched earth maneuver, as in deny the enemy supplies or let's just say fertile ground for staging operations from that area, specifically Jade Cove. We made that tough decision to to blow up Jade Cove. Now, with that said, this is, I'm not sure, I'm guessing that a lot of people are not sure about how how a missile launch works. This is a very coordinated thing to do. The procedure is very precise. You cannot just fire the missile and that's it. You have to very carefully create it. You have to wait for I cannot say that I remember the time frames, but I think it's about 6 to for a local launch, 12 to a I'm not sure, but in general, it needs quite a bit of time to actually get to get the missile to be able to fire. After that, you also need quite a bit of preparation, not only to prep the missile for launch, but also to transmit said coordinates, coordinates for said launch codes. We had, by the time we announced that we're going to bomb Jade Cove, about 30 to 35 minutes to ensure, and we did, that no Warden life or asset was lost. We literally were there. We were the ones that pushed into Jade Cove because it was changing hands from Collie to Warden all the time that specific day. We took down Jade Cove, we advanced to the natural choke point, and we saw that this is not sustainable. But we are not gonna bomb, no, hell no, we're not gonna bomb our own troops, or our assets, our battle tank, our precious battle tanks actually, because they take a long time to build. What we did is we not only discussed with the group that we had together, if you remember from before, we had a platoon's worth of soldiers, that is 30 people, not WNS, people that we've gathered, together with 3 battle tanks, other equipment like trucks and logistical aspects, and we did not lose any of that. We talked with everybody, we decided that this is the decision, this is why we made said decision, which we also understand that this is a very, very tough decision to make, and of course nothing that the Warden team without information would actually approve. Understandably, this is a very tough thing to chew. But this was a decision we took together with the team, understanding, with them understanding, even if they don't agree for some of them, of course, understanding and actually presenting all of our arguments, and then waiting for said 30 minutes to evacuate all personnel and equipment using our own trucks and manpower. At this point, after the 30 minutes that we took everything out, Jade Cove was enemy-held territory. This is something that I'm sad about, but our friendly team members were not fighting at Apollo's Landing base. We're not fighting in the eastern side of Serenity Coast. They were more interested, as we said before, and that's why Lektatech or other people, which I honestly care not name, were in the launch site, stopping or trying to stop our attempts in launching the missile by griefing the assets of both us, the WNS, but also, as you can understand in an angry mob, whoever was there.
WNS co-leader UEemperor explaining his assessment of the tactical situation on the field in Serenity, leading to the decision to launch the rocket. Many have criticized it, with other outfits opting to fire the rocket at Victa while holding the bridges leading to Jade Cove, allowing for them to recapture the city. Whether he's right or completely wrong, well, at this point, that's for you to decide, but we'll keep soldiering along here. We realize a lot of these segments are long-winded, but we did deem it important to include as much as we could, and again, we did cut out a lot of audio that did not make it to tonight's broadcast. But regardless, we're going to continue here with Warden North Star co-leader UEemperor.
What was your reaction to those Warden units who were attempting to attack that silo to stop the launch?
So, because for better or worse, there is no team damage to the missile, there was no point in stopping them. There was absolutely no point in stopping them from, trying to destroy the missile. I do not agree about that, but you can do whatever you want at the end of the day. However, when it comes to people destroying team assets, or at least trying to grief set team assets, we tried our very best to actually get the assets out of there, or at least remove the persons, the persons in question. Whether it was by using the mod report, which should be the intended way, or because of the heat of the moment, and I totally condemn this, team killing and trying to remove the friendly enemies, let's just say, by force. And that is because, again, sadly, there is nothing a mod report can do if you've already lost your asset, and we're not talking about just a few jeeps or trucks, or a few bundles of BMATs. We're talking about battle tanks. We're talking about things that took hours, if not days, to make. Well, of course not specifically one battle tank, but you understand that the whole stockpile there was, or did, take such time.
With the controversy that this has caused, what was your reaction, and Ward North Star and the whole's reaction to the backlash that you all faced by this decision?
As expected, as honestly expected, it was not a hard decision to accept. There is in no way a chance someone who has fought day and night to keep said area from the collies to understand and accept such a loss. There's absolutely no way, and that is absolutely expected. More so if they were not in the immediate area, as in haven't been through what we've been at that day, to understand the reasoning and the situation behind said decision. However, with all that said, which is understandable from both sides, our side, their side, if you want to put it that way, it is extremely sad to see the community bite its own flesh and waste those few precious moments we could use to strike back and take the area by spending time team killing, griefing, in general, wasting precious moments. And again, it's not the WNS. We were at the time of impact and the aftermath. It was pretty late for us because we were at least a day playing. We were like 3 or 4 guys left, but we didn't. It was not only us who took fire, like literal fire, team killing fire, griefing fire. It was any and all suspected members of the WNS, or sympathizers of the WNS, anyone who provided an alternate point of view or a differing point of view than the actual, and this is I hate the word that I'm going to say now, but the mob, the actual angry mob, like we are some kind of cannibals or thugs or whatever you want to call it. However, again, as expected, this is not the first time this happened. This, of course, I feel this will be the largest incident in the Foxhole history by a long margin. But understandable, it was the first rocket we fired. Understandable. But it is extremely sad. It is extremely sad that we are much more interested in jumping on a hate boat or a hate train, or whatever you want to call it, and start targeting people. And again, not only us. That's like, you can say that you can badmouth me, or say that I don't care what you did, I don't like you. It's understandable. However, what does the asset that you can actually use alone, or the sympathizers, or even the simple bystanders, what do they have to do with your rage? Or more importantly, what will you gain with said rage? Again, It was a tactically sound decision, but not one, unfortunately, and because of the situation, based on team morale.
If you're just joining us, you're listening to WNS Warden North Star co-leader UEemperor in an interview with Warden press reporter Seamus O'Malley. We're going to reach a bit of a climax here as he begins to delve in these next segments, closing segments, onto the deteriorating social context of the result of the blast and the launch. But we'll get right into it here. Again, WNS co-leader UEemperor.
So, on to the next question. How do you feel that this incident will affect WNS and its reputation?
Totally understandable, the fact that we've taken a hit, let's just say, to our reputation. It's understandable. It's understandable if people say that, oh, well, I don't like you because I didn't like your decision. Sure. In general, it's understandable to see or to hear said, disagreements with our decision. It's totally understandable. However, we in the WNS, and personally me, specifically me, I feel very sad about this. Not necessarily sad about what they've done to me, because there was nothing much done, to be fair. As in, this is a game. This is a MMO game, sure, but this is still a game where you're supposed to have fun and enjoy your game. Even if some things happen which you don't agree, it is still a game you take to have fun in it. Essentially, I could just summarize it as we're sad. We're sad because of the what I said before, the team, the community biting its own flesh, its own frigging flesh. It is doing absolutely nothing right now, and I actually got information that we've actually lost Jade Cove.
We have actually, I have Foxhole pulled up here. We have lost all of Faranac, all of Deadlands, and we're about half and half, or maybe a third of Endless we still have left. They have pushed into Callahan's.
And that is understandable, again, because we spent so many hours, so much time focusing on securing, fortifying, at least keeping the area around the middle part of Faranac, and I will specifically talk about that, to secure the area, to protect the area, to keep the area and continue to operate from that area, from said area. And right now, and a few hours before, we have people absolutely wasting time talking in the various social media Discord channels and the like about one thing that, whether or not they agreed, of course, happened. It happened. Passed. It did. Done. It's a done deal. It's something that they can essentially get over with and fight for, and seek to improve upon that, to learn something about that, and actually protect their interests now, which we need them now. We need, if we'd have taken matches, and that was our reasoning as well. One of the reasons we bombed Jade. If we'd taken matches Keening, after Jade Cove, right? If we'd taken matches Keening, we would have had a good area on our side, on the Colonials side of the river, that we could have used as our staging ground without any problems when it comes to supplies and also defensibility. So, I mean, of course I cannot speak because I wasn't there, and that is another specific thing about the community. I was not there after I left because it's pretty late for me, unfortunately, but I was there, and I saw how Jade Cove went. Now, I'm not there when after in the aftermath of the missile, but I don't know how it fell, why it fell. But if I could take an educated guess, with no battle tanks in the area because of said griefing attempts, without any kind of communication between the people there, specifically there, and also without any kind of morale to fight with, or more accurately, people focusing on talking in this very social media than actually playing. I don't think I have to say anything else. I mean, we literally lost the war due to how's that called? Due to a difference in opinions.
Well,
one last thing is, again, when it comes to the missile's target, great care was taken before we fired. There was absolutely no way we would fire in a friendly town, and there was absolutely no way we would have done that if it meant our team losing the map.
Well, we're just going to hang on here as much as we can. We believe it is important to, at least for archival and historical purposes, we're going to get through all of the information that was presented to us. So, one last clip here. It's not the sexiest reporting in the world, but it is the most comprehensive. So, one last 5-minute segment here with Warden North Star co-leader UEemperor. We'll close it out here for you. Jeffrey Jennings here, we'll go into it. Again, talking to Warden press reporter Seamus O'Malley.
Alright, so we talked about the effect that it had on WNS and that it had on the world conquest so far, but what thoughts do you have regarding the recent disbanding of WGA and some of the officers there deciding to switch to the colonial side due to the backlash faced?
The WGA came in goodwill to help us. They had in no way, they were in no way affiliated with our choice on launching the missile, or on our target, on Jade Cove. They were there to secure a Warden missile site.
Well, we've had reports of clans claiming that they would outright attack WNS members and affiliated groups on site. Have you had any reports of conflicts with other Warden forces attacking members of your clan and affiliated groups?
Absolutely. On this one, I actually want to apologize to the dev team because of or rather the moderator team, for their 24-hour work, banning people left and right. Actually, and I'm being mad, of course, I'm exaggerating. This is maybe the reason we lost the whole Warden area, the middle regions. Guys, this is, and this is a direct call out, this is ridiculous. It does not matter whether you agree or not on a decision made by whoever did, whether it's called WNS, WGA, random clan, whatever, or a single individual. Harassing people and trying to silence them or otherwise handle them or reprimand them, or however you want to say this, it literally blows my mind. It transcends the fact that this is indeed a fucking game. This is a game. This is not real life. I understand people, and me myself, I'm very immersed when I play a game. I like to. But this is a game. At the end of the day, bullying, reprimanding, handling, flaming, cursing, condemning, whatever you want to call, placing all of this for a game. This again transcends the matter of a role play or all the WNSR traders or whatever it's there. It transcends those boundaries. It becomes harassing. It becomes real life problems. What the hell is the best phrase I could use to describe this?
I know you probably have a lot to say on the subject. I just have one final question here, which is, what would you like to say to those who are calling for the end of Warden North Star?
Do what you want. I'm absolutely fine with that. But please, work together. Whether or not you agree, don't fucking kill my tank when I'm trying to capture a location. We are here to play a game. Whether you agree with us or not does not give any freaking reason to destroy team assets and to grieve players' personal time in a game, and we're talking about a lot of time. If you want to make something in this game, it takes a significant amount of time and investment. Do not destroy, do not go personal for something that transpired in a frigging game. And honestly, happy holidays to all of you. But please, guys, this is not real life.
I would love to thank UEemperor for joining me for this interview. It was great having you on and hearing what you had to say. I would like to reiterate his point. Please, I do not want to see any more team killing going on over this issue. Please handle everything with respect. I'm here to get every side of this story, and I'm documenting it for further looks on what we've found out about this situation. With that being said, again, happy holidays to everybody. Hope you have a great new year, and this is ValleySword with the Warden Press signing out.
Despite many contradictions and even more criticisms from others, this was the perspective of one of the men who pulled the trigger. That perspective presented to us and now to you. That being a Warden rocket that was used as intended to hit colonial targets. But where most saw a missile wasted, one group simply saw a decision made. A decision clearly made in frantic times, but with the best of intentions. It may very well have been the wrong decision strategically, maybe even a stupid one, predicated on panicked, stubborn tunnel vision as others attempted to advise. But with mistakes come opportunities to learn, if only one has the opportunity to do so. This report could not have been done without the incredible fact-finding and interview work of ValleySword and Potato, with additional help from RGB-Man 195 and Boris Grushenko. This has been a special presentation of Foxhole Flash. For the PressCorps, I'm Jeffrey Jennings. Good night, and good fight.
This has been a presentation hosted by PressCorps Chief Editor Jeffrey Jennings. Maury Sharp is the Colonial Correspondent. Dr. Oliver Boland Ponsonby Esquire is the Warden Correspondent. And Ken Rister is the handsome host of Casualties. Make sure to follow the PressCorps on Twitch radio services, YouTube motion pictures, Instagram photography, and the Twitter Telegram service at PressCorps Games. For more info, including Newswire access and interview opportunities, visit PressCorps World Headquarters through the Discord link below.